be adding more police officers?
Please
or
keep your
should we-
comments, trustee,
This is very
straight to
much
the
to the
item.
point. Please stop interrupting me.
It is not.
Very much
It
to
is
the
not.
point. So one of the questions would
Trustee
be,
Straight,
no, I'm
leave
sorry,
your
but I'm going to
comments
continue.
pertaining,
okay?
you're discussing other
Mayor's out of
things.
order.
Please, you are out. Point of order, Mayor. You're out
Trustee
of
Straight,
order.
trustee Straight,
The chair
leave
is
your
out of order.
comments
please-
to the item. This is Robert's
You know what? I
rule.
know you don't want to
I'm
hear what
going to-
I
I'm
know
gonna-
you don't want to hear what I have to say. I
heard it-
understand
we
that.
heard it the
okay?
last half
But it's
hour,
not right.
sir.
The public has a right to hear me. So please stop interrupting. My
Please,
points are
Trustee
very much
Straight.
to the point.
We're
very
discussing-
much to the issue before us,
Do
okay?
your comments pertain to term limits, sir?
They pertain to questions of referendum. Yes, they do.
Okay, the referendum on question is term limits.
You know what?
Please
And I'm
leave your
making a
comments
point,
to
okay?
term
And
limits.
I'll tell you, that's great. I know that again, you want to throw me off point, but I'm not going to be off point.
Trustee
If
Straight,
if board members are,
trustee Straight, leave your, I'm not throwing you off point, I'm keeping you on point.
please do then. Allow me to complete my comments.
Leave them
Thank
on
you.
point, sir, and
They're
you
very
will.
much on. You know what? If a board member feels strongly about term limits, they can make a pledge. They can say, that they're not going to run for more than 3 terms, and that's a commitment that they can make to the voters, and the decision is up to you, and it's up to the voters in your district. We have term limits. The American system of term limits is we have an election every 4 years, and the voters can decide whether they want to keep you or not. Again, there are some very important questions we could ask. Why don't we ask the public should the Oak Lawn Fire Department be fully staffed? as
Trustee
recommended? You know what?
Straight, you are
This
out
is
of
very
order,
much the
and-
point.
and
You know
I'm
what?
moving
Why
on.
don't we ask the voters? How about if we ask, should we have mayoral recall?
No, I
'Cause that we know the answer to that. That was
Trustee
passed by
Straight?
overwhelmingly.
Call the vote.
This hurts.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Straight?
No.
Trustee Quinlan?
Would have voted yes, but now I have to vote no because my resolution wasn't
Okay.
changed. amended.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-2.
Thank you. Before I move on, I'm going to just step aside a little bit from standard procedures, and I regret that I couldn't do this before the vote. But sitting to my side is a clerk who is impacted by this, and I would like just your comments regarding this item. We didn't vote on it last time because you were not at the meeting, and I wanted to give you the opportunity to speak your piece regarding this. And I realize you don't vote, but I think it's important that your comments be heard for the record.
Thank you, Mayor. I do appreciate that. I had discussed this with Trustee Carberry, and I am not a voting member of this board, yet my job is full-time, and sometimes I am the glue and mortar in the village. But, this will not affect me, because in 2017, I could run again for 3 consecutive terms. This has nothing to do with me. But, whatever the board wants and the Village of Oak Lawn wishes, it's their vote on the referendum, and I just wish another clerk good luck and hope that they will go and get their certifications. It's going to take me almost 10 years to have mine, which I'll have next year, but I do appreciate you letting me comment, and I'm here for what the voters want, and that's how I've served my first 9 years in office, so thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And
That clap from the staff means a lot, thank you.
I think I'm going to call it AGO.
okay, we're on item 21. This is a resolution number 1327-53, approving a contract between the Village of Oak Lawn and the Genesis Therapy Center to provide administrative and program services for the Village of Oak Lawn Senior Center Services for the Village of Oak Lawn Senior Center Services Division. May I have a motion, please, on item 21?
Motion to approve.
Properly moved by Trustee Vorder,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Carberry. Any discussion on this item?
The only thing that I would point out is in
Trustee
looking...
Straight, you have the floor.
Thank you. The only thing I wanted to point out is that in looking at the Genesis website, there's no reference to providing any senior services at all, anything for seniors. And of course, I did say at the last meeting that I believe that this is just the next step in outsourcing of senior services, and that's why I'm going to be voting no. Not because it's going to reduce the spending on seniors. We should increase that, but I think this is the wrong way to go.
Any other comments or discussion? Okay, let's take the vote, please. Item 21.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Streit?
No.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-1.
Item 22 is Resolution 132754. This is a resolution approving a lease termination agreement with Lighthouse Financial. May I have a motion, please, on this item?
Motion.
Properly moved by Trustee Vorder,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Desmond. Any discussion? Please take the roll.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Streit?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Item 23 on the agenda is Resolution 132755, a resolution initiating the submission to the voters of the Village of Oak Lawn the public question of if Illinois interest arbitrators should be prohibited from issuing awards on economic matters in public employee bargaining units that will result in a municipality having to raise taxes in order to pay for the economic item. I'm going to request, please, a motion to remove let's table this for now.
Motion to table?
Properly moved by Trustee Oliniechek,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Desmond. Please take the vote.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Streit?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank
To
you.
table.
24 on the agenda is a request for approval of a $20 million revolving line of credit for the Oak Lawn Regional Water System. May I have a motion, please, on item 24?
Motion to approve.
Properly moved by Trustee Carberry,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Desmond. Any discussion on this item?
Just one question,
Trustee
Mayor.
Streit.
I was wondering if there was an RFP that was put out for this line of credit.
Larry?
There was not. Brian, you want to explain the vetting process that you followed on this one?
The $20 million that we've asked for is, just to give the board an idea, this is at LIBOR plus 85. So we have gone to PFM, and we vetted the price that we're getting this for from BMO Harris through PFM. And BMO Harris has spent a long time, this, as everyone knows, this water distribution system has been in the works for about 4 years. So as long as it was a market-driven deal, the view that Larry and I had was that they were the right ones to do this particular line of credit. So
But maybe for the general public, again, the LIBOR rate as of today, and it's a
24 basis
three-month
points.
rate, 0.24.
So we're talking
And
about
85 basis points, we're talking about an interest rate of
1.09.
Yeah, and then again, this actually is a subset of the 179. This isn't over and above the 179. This is allow the finance director the flexibility to recoup any expenses related to the water project that the Village of Oak Lawn, as the owner of the system, has incurred in this interim phase between getting the financing from the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency. Once again, our share of that $179,000, even at the worst-case scenario where Olympia Fields, Country Club Hills, and Matson do not participate, our share is 11.7%. If they participate, 9.98%. So any of these costs, will be recouping those costs that apply to our other customers.
And just to compare that, to remind the board, again, this board approved the $15 million ordinance, which allowed us to issue that first IEPA loan, and that rate of interest is not 1.93%. I realize that's a long-term 20-year rate, and this is a short-term application as we get the rest of these communities to come on board with the system. So this is just one phase, Bob, and we did get a market rate instrument. But again, this is only step one of getting a longer-term facility for 5 years,
And if I could, Mayor and Board too, for everyone's aware, we're very fortunate to have outstanding banks and good relationships in this community. We work with Standard Bank, we work with Fifth Third. Now this is Harris that we've used. So those are local banks that have come to our assistance, whether it's Stony Creek Promenade, whether it's handling our cash management in the village and our bank, Standard Bank, or whether it's, in this case, working with us on the water model, BMO Capital.
Thank you. Any other discussion on item 24?
I just wanted a little bit, because
Trustee
you had
Oliniechek?
mentioned that 179 million that was mentioned earlier that we approved on. Our total liability on that 179 million would be how much?
Our liability would be, as Larry mentioned, if all the communities come in about 9.9% of the total. But if we have trouble with the Southeast group, which we don't anticipate, by the way, we've had discussions with them, it would be, I'm sorry, if they don't come in, it would be 11.7%, Alex.
But what's the total, the sway in the dollars on the 9.9 and 11.7?
Well, it would be, the difference is if it was the worst-case scenario, those three did not participate, roughly $21 million. And if they did participate, our share then would be,
Well, it's about
18 million.
18 million. It's a little less than.
yeah,
13 million.
rounded off 18 million.
So
That's the
18
swing.
million, and for that, we're going to redo our complete water system that hasn't been addressed since 1970.
We're going to upgrade 2 pumping stations. We're going to add a looped system versus a single
system.
system. The loop system is your public safety in the event a breakage occurs like it occurs now in a single pipeline. We'll be able to reroute and still deliver water where there's the break. So that's, you've got the sustainability, you've got growing water demand projected till 2040, so it's demand related. Number 3, all the electronics and the new pumps will be, we're actually bringing in a new pump modeled after a pump that's been in service in Aspen, Colorado, and also in Washington, that is similar to using the energy. We're going to be producing electricity
Yeah,
off
because
that
the city
pump.
of Chicago brings in water at a higher pressure. We blow it off now, but that turbine's actually going to create energy?
It will create energy to the equivalent of several hundred homes, and we'll work a deal with ComEd or other suppliers to sell that and reduce your energy costs. It's much more energy efficient. We spend, that's one of our biggest
This is an investment in the
costs.
community. Back when we first did this project, the community bore the whole thing and really got, from the best our financials could tell, got no payback because we put all the money out. Now all the other communities are helping with this community investment. I think, very good,
That's correct.
very good.
Thank
So that's
you.
a good, well-spent investment.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, let's call the vote, please.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Strike?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Motion passes.
We're moving on to item 25, which is a request to approve and waive the formal bidding process and purchase one 2014 Chevy Tahoe from Webb Chevrolet in the amount of $31,477. May I have a motion on item 25, please?
Motion to approve.
Properly moved by trustee Desmond,
Second.
seconded by trustee Carberry. Any discussion on this item? Please take the vote.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Strike?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, 26, request to approve the recommendations and award the contracts for the 2014 purchase of street sign materials for the following: sign channel post Tapco of Brown Deer, Wisconsin, aluminum side plates, which are blanks, to U.S. Standard Sign of Franklin Park, Illinois. Banding is going to Lightly Enterprises. Rolled goods and transfer tapes. This is a combined contract to Osborne Associates of Logan, Ohio. May I have a motion, please, on item 26?
Motion to approve.
Properly moved by trustee Vorder,
Second.
seconded by trustee Carberry. Any discussion, please, on item 26? Let's call the vote, please.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Strike?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Motion passes.
27 on the agenda is a request to approve the recommendations and award the contract for the 2014 supply of light bulbs and fixtures in the Department of Public Works, Street Division to Hellcell Jefferson in the amount of $96,161.08. May I have a motion, please, on item 27?
Motion to approve.
Properly moved by trustee Vorder,
Second.
seconded by trustee Carberry. Any discussion, please? Call the vote.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Streit?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 28 on the agenda is the Higher Oak Lawn Program discussion for village vendors and contractors. And I believe I'm going to turn the floor over to trustee Desmond. I think this has been a project of yours and you want some board input, correct?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor.
You're
This is like an extension of our Oak Lawn Jobs Program, whereas the Oak Lawn Jobs Program was for high school seniors and recent graduates. This is more for hiring qualified people in Oak Lawn. When we are paying for any public projects, when the people of Oak Lawn are paying for a public project, like the water project we're talking about, I would like something in place where that contractor, if he needs to hire new people to do the work, would give a preference to qualified people from Oak Lawn. I would like to see Oak Lawn jobs going to Oak Lawn people. I don't want to go back to a situation like we had with the dispatchers, where of the 20 dispatchers, 80% of them lived outside of Oak Lawn, from Orland Park, Tinley Park, Money, from Plainfield, one of whom earned over $150,000 last year, and yet would demand that we would raise our property taxes to pay them even more money. This is for Oak Lawn people getting Oak Lawn jobs. And I would ask for your support on this.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
I would just like
I'm
to
gonna-
commend,
Trustee Oliniechek.
thank you. I'd like to commend trustee Desmond for moving this forward. We have a lot of other projects, whether it's our infrastructure projects, the street projects that we do. I think that we should look to make any type of code change that we can that would require that qualified people from the Village of Oak Lawn are part of that whole bid, or that they employ people from the Village of Oak Lawn, especially during these times. I know that with some of the street projects, residents of Second District ended up being a byproduct of that extra work that we put in there, and that's good when you can do work in your village and also provide some good income opportunities. So I think that this board should look to do whatever we can to, whenever we're investing in a project, to make sure that Village of Oak Lawn residents that are qualified are hired.
Thank you. I'm going to ask our attorney, please, to weigh in.
Thank you. We have been working with trustee Desmond on this. We're researching it. There are some legal issues to programs like these. You find them more in larger cities throughout the United States. There have been challenges, constitutional issues with Commerce Clause and interstate commerce, things of that nature. So right now we're trying to work with other towns that have something similar in place, how they're implementing it. My thought is that I think one of the important factors in implementing a policy like this is that we're not surprising our contractors. It needs to be, to the extent we get a policy in place, it needs to be that our contractors should know about this policy in the bid process. So our hope is to have a workable legal policy for you on this issue in your January meeting.
Trustee
Mayor,
Desmond?
Well, we'd like it, I'm sorry.
Yeah, correct, but I think the one difference in this than when the cities like Boston and Aurora and Naperville is that we're not requiring them to hire Oak Lawn people to get the job. All I'm saying is that if they need to hire new people to do the work, that they give Oak Lawn, qualified Oak Lawn people, a preference. So that might take care of some of the legal problems.
Thank you. Trustee Carberry is next.
Yeah, that's the only thing I was going to ask, if it's going to be a requirement, you know, obviously you'd be listed and it'd be a requirement of the RFP, but that's the way you would do it, right? Wouldn't it be a requirement? I mean, or is just like you're making it sound like just a good faith?
No, no.
It'd be
I
a
mean,
requirement.
It would be a requirement.
Yeah.
If they need to hire new people.
It's, again, that's what we're struggling with in drafting this policy. It's hard to, I agree that it's a great idea, but it's hard to, for example, you could start thinking, what if, for whatever that job is or whatever that trade, there are no Oak Lawn persons looking for a job in that area.
Well, the other, you know,
Then you
some
move
of,
on. So it's just writing the policy is what we're struggling now. But
Yeah.
we're hoping to have something for you in January on it.
you might get some
Carberry.
issues there with, you know, if it was a 134 contractor, for instance, you know, or different unions you might have to get them from their hall first, you know, you'd be struggling with their rules, their work rules as well, you know, so, I don't know, I'll try to,
Well, I mean,
I think
you know,
that-
if anyone would need to hire an electrician, they would have to be qualified electrician. They would have to be able to do the job.
of course, but what I'm saying is the union might already have, you know, their work rules, you know, that might contradict with what you're trying to accomplish, so.
Madam Mayor, I can
I
look-
think trustee Warder was next, and then trustee Olenichek.
Well, I think some of my questions have been answered here.
Okay.
As I listened to the discussion, I think it's a great idea, Tim, but
Yeah.
I do think there's a lot of legal questions here and union questions. A senior electrician out of the hall may take precedent union-wise, I don't know. But I look forward to your opinion on this, because I like the concept and idea. We can do it.
Yeah. Trustee Olenichek.
Madam Mayor, I believe reading that back in the history of Oak Lawn, we used to do our own garbage collection as a part of the village. And I think that when they went and outsourced that back in the 70s or 80s, whenever they did that, I think there was some discussion on that. Is there any way that we can go back in the history to find that out? To make sure, because I think there was some concern about making sure that people from the village of Oak Lawn were hired on to take care of that outsourced, so.
We could look at
I
it,
could look in the minutes.
yeah.
I just,
And I think we had trustee Quinlan.
I did. Actually, I'm 100% supportive of this.
Thank you.
And I actually like to extend, and I've had these discussions with Larry months ago in regards to 111th and Cicero. While I realize that the village is not actually the one negotiating the contracts or the people that are working there, I feel real strong about that. And I'd like to see if we can tie that in as well, that, you know, going forward, subcontractors, that type of thing, that Oak Lawn residents and businesses absolutely get first preference.
Mayor,
Trustee-
I agree, Trustee Cullen. The only issue with that is that, you know, when someone is using private money, we can't very well demand or tell them who to hire. But when we're, the taxpayers, are paying that money,
Only suggest.
Yeah.
I agree, it would be great if we could get everybody in Oak Lawn working.
But
So,
yes.
so I'd love to see this in January, brought again before the whole board. Anyone who didn't weigh in want to weigh in on this one? Okay, very good. So we're going to move on to the village clerk's report. Jane,
Thank
you
you.
have the floor.
Sure. Disbursement Resolution Number 2013-22D, approval of semi-monthly disbursements dated December 10th, 2013, in the amount of $11,133,275.79.
May I have a motion, please, on item 29A?
Motion approved.
Properly moved by trustee Quinlan,
Second.
seconded by trustee Vorder. Any discussion on item 21A? Excuse me, 29A. Please call the roll.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Streit?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Olenichek?
yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Couple more things, Mayor.
Sure.
I was recently sick, as most of you know, and I just want to thank everybody for the cards, the flowers, the visits, the phone calls. Oak Lawn's a pretty incredible place. Thank you, and I'm feeling a lot better. So all those calls and everything helped, so thanks to everybody. And I just want to congratulate Richard's